Sorry everybody, it's Xilicks here, and welcome to week 11 of the MLBA. This may be my final week, I'm not sure yet, because I'm supposed to have both a week 9 and a week 12 battle. I haven't heard from either opponents on when those may be happening. So if those don't happen, I will be given the 2 wins as forfeit wins, which obviously, I'd rather play the games, but if that's what it's going to be, that's what it's going to be. But let's not focus on that. Let's focus on the battle at hand here. So we are facing off against BaconChest. This team is fantastic in my opinion. It has very, very, very good offense, very fast offense at that, as well as some great defensive mons. So let's talk about it for a bit. There's the Torracats, Infernape, Tapu Koko, Salamence. All like either way above or within the 110 to 115 speed range, and then obviously the Torracats and Tapu Koko are way above that. So it's hard to speed creep for this team because most of my offensive mons are either slower or they're ineffective because of the defensive mons. So looking at the defensive mons, there's things mainly that I was worried about was the Tangrowth and the Blastoise. Now we didn't see the Blastoise, but there was the potential of it. There's also potential of Metagross. I wasn't too worried about Metagross because I didn't even think it would be brought, and most of everything I have deals with Metagross pretty well, except for like Gardevoir. So I didn't think the Metagross would be brought. The Salamence can also potentially be run like defensively with Intimidate, Roost, stuff like that, Defog, whatever. And then there's also the Tyranitar, which can either be offensive or it can be more defensive, but I do have ways of dealing with that, obviously, with my Lopunny and Emboar, both of which were brought. Now, my mindset going in this game was I'd have to play defensively, just because his offense is too good, and my normal defensive mons cannot switch into these monsters. And Empoleon gets destroyed by Infernape, it gets destroyed by Tapu Koko, it gets destroyed by like Dragon Dance Tyranitar, it gets destroyed by Dragon Dance Salamence. So Empoleon's a no-go. My other option, Gastrodon, there's a lot of potential grass moves. There's the Tangrowth, there's a Grass Knot on Torracats. So Gastrodon's not really a good bring, and it doesn't really beat anything anyways. Like it can 1v1 Koko if it doesn't have a grass move, and then obviously Infernape can also run a grass move. So I didn't really want to bring Gastrodon. I felt like it was just too easily beat. And then also I can't really bring a setup Zygarde because the only way a setup Zygarde can win is if the Tangrowth dies, because obviously the Tangrowth can soak up those hits, and I know that that thing is going to be run fully defensively. There's also the potential of the Blastoise being run very defensively. So this team is hard for me to build for, and I've only brought 2 offensive mons this week. I have a very defensive max HP, max defense, Impish Nature, Crocodile with the bulk up, because bulk up allows me to get an Intimidate drop on things and then also bulk up in their face. So this Crocodile can be very, very defensive. The only thing it has to worry about in this matchup is Tangrowth and specially offensive Tapu Koko. Then I have also max defense Zapdos to take hits from the Infernape, to take hits from like Torracats pretty well if it's run physical, or if it's run special, can take hits from both. Then I have a mixed defense, what's that thing called? Amoonguss, because that can switch into Koko pretty safely. The only thing it doesn't want to take is like Nature's Madness. It can switch into Tangrowth, it can switch into Salamence, except for Flying EMZ. It cannot switch into Infernape unless you find out it's choiced, and then I can switch into Close Combat if he ever locks himself into that. And I can switch into the Tyranitar. I am running the Clear Smog on Amoonguss in case we see a setup Tyranitar, mainly was the thing that I wanted that for. Then I have also max defense Gardevoir, because Gardevoir with the trace ability can be very useful. I can trace Intimidate on Salamence, I can trace Regenerator on the Torracats, I can trace Regenerator on the Tangrowth, I can, trace will be good for those mons. It was also good for potentially if the Metagross was brought, because Clear Body can be useful if I don't want to get stat drops or anything. I am running Calm Mind with Moonblast, I think, is my only offensive move. I have Toxic and Wish as well, because the problem with my defensive mons this week is they're very lacking momentum. I worded that poorly, and his team has a lot of momentum. Tornadus can U-turn. Koko can either Volt Switch or U-turn. Infernape can U-turn. I believe he had another Mon that didn't get brought, but I'm kind of blanking on what that may have been. Then I have just a normal Lopunny set, Power Up Punch, Return, Ice Punch, and then I think Train Punch, because I didn't want to run High Jump Kick, assuming that probably either Tangrowth or Blastoise would be bringing the Protect if either got brought. And then I have an interesting set on my Emboar. I'm running the Flare Blitz Wild Charge with both Power Up Punch and Flame Charge, because if I can get up a Flame Charge, I could potentially win this game. The only thing that would stop this particular set is a defensive Salamence with Intimidate. But other than that, there is a potential for an Emboar sweep. But let's get into the game. So I am going to lead with my Lopunny, and we see the Infernape. Not wanting this thing to be Choice Scarf to go into Zapdos. This damage rule tells me that he could be Choice Scarf Adamant, or he could be like Expert Belt, Jolly, or not, sorry, not Expert Belt, but just an item that isn't boosting his attack, or sorry, like Fist Plate Jolly. That's what I was thinking of. Fist Plate Jolly was the other option, but I'm more likely leaning to him being Choice Scarf because he just clicked Close Combat there. So I'm pretty sure he's Choice Scarf Adamant, or he got a very high roll with Choice Scarf Jolly. So he's going to swap to the Tyranitar, as I believe I just Toxic. This Toxic is going to be important on this Tyranitar because it's going to prevent it from setting up Dragon Dances. Obviously, he still can set up Dragon Dance, which I believe he does here. No, he sets with the Stealth Rock, which the Stealth Rock is going to be annoying because my Zapdos does have Defog, but I will have to obviously bring in the Zapdos to get the Defog. I revealed the Bulk Up, probably a little bit too early to reveal that. I probably could have knocked off there, but I didn't want the Tyranitar to have Superpower or something, and even though it wouldn't have done too much, I figured I'd just be safe. And also, in case the Infernape came out, then I could have soaked up a hit there. So now I'm going to bring in my Zapdos. Unfortunately, it does knock off my leftovers, which is going to suck, but it doesn't actually matter too much for the scheme of the battle. He is going to Leech Seed, which is actually a good thing because it gives me the opportunity to Roost. Now, here, we're going to see the Tapu Koko come in. Now, normally my Zapdos could take hits from this thing, but at the Leech Seed, I don't want to be sitting there, and he is going to Calm Mind. Now, if he clicks Dazzling Gleam against my Crocodile, it is game over, so I'm going to go Amoonguss. He predicts that properly and U-turns into the Infernape. Now, this Infernape is threatening. Because I did not bring any of my waters, it really just gets the click Flare Blitz whenever it wants. I don't really have a great way of switching into it. Here you will see that I do end up doing some pivoting around to make the Infernape take some extra recoil damage. The reason I didn't go Crocodile first is because I didn't want him to close combat and destroy my life. Here I'm going to knock off, and the Tornadus does not lose an item, so I'm assuming he's either Z-Crystal or he's no item. And here he's going to attempt to Toxic. Now this set of plays is actually pretty good for me because he's going to try to double Toxic. Had he attacked me there, this Gardevoir would have been dead, which fortunately he didn't because I am going to survive on 1 HP as I go for the Calm Mind and I get the Wish Up. Now the better play there probably would have been Toxicking this Tornadus instead of going for the Calm Mind. The reason I went for Calm Mind was on the off chance he hard switched or U-turned, and the reason I say it would have been better if I Toxicked is because I'm going to immediately get the Static Paralyze, and the Static Paralyze is going to not be very good because I would rather have Toxicked than get the Paralysis. So now Salamence is going to set up, and I'm thinking in my head, okay, if he's Dragonium Z, which he might be, if he's Dragonium Z, my Zapdos does not live. If he's Flyinium Z, I might be able to live in Outrage. I believe it depends on whether or not he's Adamant, and it also depends on a roll. I might be misremembering that, but there is a slight chance I live here. So my play was to click Toxic. Now the reason I would Toxic is because then afterwards I can go Crocodile and then also go Gardevoir, because Crocodile will get the first Intimidate, Gardevoir will get the second Intimidate because of Trace, and at that point he'll be at -1 attack, assuming he doesn't Dragon Dance again, but if he does, he'll be at neutral, and Gardevoir will be able to take hits and get up wishes. So I'm okay with leaving in Zapdos here. Unfortunately, he is the Dragonium Z, which will mean my Zapdos is going to go down. Now without Zapdos, this is going to be a rough game. I'm going to get the first Intimidate, and then I believe I stay in and go for Bulk Up instead of going for Gardevoir. Had I Toxicked, I would have gone into the Gardevoir. But this way, I can match my defense with his attack, and then I can knock him out with a Stone Edge at +2, even though I have 0 attack investment. And fortunately, I will connect with my Stone Edge and knock out that Salamence. Unfortunately, though, my Crocodile is very low on HP, and the Tapu Koko has a free invite to the battlefield. He is going to Dazzling Gleam. I did consider Earthquaking there on the off chance he U-turned, or rather, I would have most likely knocked off. But now I'm going to get the Sludge Bomb damage off on this Tornadus, revealing that it's very HP investive, but not especially defensive investive. So now I'm going to go into my Gardevoir to potentially try to sit in front of this Tornadus, but that Acrobatics is doing a lot. Luckily, I did get the Regenerator, so I can swap out my Gardevoir, and this is unfortunately the point where I believe I have to make some weird plays around this Tornadus. Luckily, though, I do catch him on a U-turn, but unfortunately, that Infernape's just going to come back in, so my Crocodile is going to have to go down here. I will get the Intimidate off, and this opens up an opportunity for potential of an Emboar sweep, because if you look at his team, with the Salamence gone, he no longer has a fire resist outside of Tyranitar and the Infernape. Now, the Infernape is kind of low on HP, and he's locked into Flare Blitz, so I'm assuming he's going to switch out. Best case scenario is he Flare Blitzes again. Unfortunately, he's going to go into the Tyranitar, and I do have a bit of HP investment on this thing, so first I'm going to get up the Flame Charge. Now, obviously, I wish that I had Power Up Punched first, because I would have been able to 2-hit KO with the Power Up Punch, but because I'm not running the Superpower, I basically have to hope for him to miss a Stone Edge, which I don't want to do, but it is going to be what it comes down to. He's going to connect with a Stone Edge, and unfortunately, the Sandstorm damage takes place before the leftovers, and I am going to lose my Emboar. Now here, I do Wish Up with my Gardevoir, hoping I can survive a Crunch. I do, but this really just invites in the Infernape, and he can just win the game, but instead he goes Tapu Koko. Now here I make a bit of a misplay, because I go for the Calm Mind, expecting him to also Calm Mind, but what I should have done in hindsight was Toxic, just because Gardevoir is going to go down anyways, and that Wish is going to be pointless. If anything, that turn I should have Toxic, but because this thing is not Toxic, then I also get paralyzed here, which it doesn't end up mattering, but, you know, whatever. Because I didn't Toxic the Tapu Koko, then my Lopunny doesn't really have a chance at winning the game. So I'm going to sack off my Gardevoir here, and basically my last hope is he gets paralyzed with Tornadus and I can get to +1, but even then it's not going to matter because the Infernape is most likely Scarfed, the Tapu Koko outspeeds, I don't have the agility, and this game is just over. He's not going to get paralyzed. He will hit me with the Acrobatics, and he's also going to knock out my Amoonguss here with 2 Acrobatics. So that's going to be the game. I think my biggest mistake with this game was building very defensively. And whenever I was building, I was thinking, you know, I'm not going to be able to out-defense this team, but had the Blastoise been brought instead of something else, like either the Tapu Koko, Salamence, Tyranitar, or Infernape, I would have had a bit of a better time, because I was expecting both the Tangrowth and the Blastoise to be brought. In the event that they were both brought, I would be better off because there'd be less offense I'd have to deal with. And also, Gardevoir has a really free time setting up against Blastoise if it doesn't have any way of removing my stats. And I wasn't really expecting Spore on Tangrowth just because the electric terrain, it seems kind of weird to bring the Spore because, you know, you wouldn't be able to put things to sleep while the terrain is up. But obviously, you know, it's still a possibility. I don't think he did have it, though, because he had a Leech Seed, and I think he would have tried to Spore my Zapdos on the turn where he Leech Seeded. But, yeah, I don't know. I think I still think I should have brought the Zygarde, potentially a Choice Scarf set again, because Choice Scarf Zygarde could have been really good here. It could have, you know, killed Tapu Koko with a surprise if he wasn't expecting Scarf. The other option was Poisonium Z on Zygarde, but even then, it's not really doing that much to Tangrowth. So, yeah. It is what it is. I took the L. I really didn't think I was going to win this week just because my team is not well equipped to take on a very fast offensive, especially a very fast offensive physical team, because I do not really have great switch-ins to anything that can get to +1. So that's going to be the game. Hopefully this isn't the end of the season for me. I might make playoffs based on those 2 forfeits, which I don't want the forfeits to happen. I'm pretty sure they are going to happen. It is what it is. So yeah, if I do make playoffs, then you will be seeing more of this team. If I don't make playoffs, well, that's that. It was a good season all around. I think I could have drafted better, but I will be doing a kind of like a season recap at the end of the season, whether it be at the end of week 12 or whenever my end of the roads is on playoffs. So yeah, I'm going to stop rambling. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Make sure to check out the other coaches of the league. I've been linking my opponents each week. If you want to see the other people in this league, make sure to check that out. And I will see you guys in the next one. Okay, thanks, bye.